So Red Giant's Finisher plugin makes some pretty big promises about what it can do for your footage. But can it actually turn DSLR camera footage into cinema camera quality? And if so, how does it do it? So to test Finisher's capabilities, we're going to look at how it fares with 4 different types of footage. The first is ProRes footage from an actual cinema camera, then 4K footage from my Lumix G7, and then 1080p footage from that same camera, and lastly, 1080p footage from a very low quality smartphone. Alright, so let's dive in and take a look at how Finisher fares. So this first shot, which you can see right here, I've also got my scopes up here in case you're wondering what that is. But this is from a professional cinema camera. This is ProRes footage, so very high quality footage, not really what Finisher is intended for, but we're going to go ahead and start with that and see what we can do with it regardless. So I'll go ahead and throw Finisher on here. To start out with, you can see that we've raised the contrast. That's the main thing. Our highlights are higher, our shadows are a little bit lower. We're kind of stretching everything out of the midtones, and you can see that if you look at the scopes as I toggle it. Okay, so now, what are all our controls? Well, let's go ahead and hop over here, and I'll show you these controls. So we've got our enhanced contrast, contrast, exposure, saturation, and detail. So let's start out with the easy ones. These middle 3, contrast, exposure, saturation, do just what you would expect them to do. They work like any other color grading or color correction tool. So there's really nothing there. But the interesting things are the enhanced contrast and detail. So starting with detail. So if you're familiar with Lightroom, this detail slider does effectively the same thing as the clarity slider in Lightroom. And there's a ton of other similar tools. But I'll go ahead and hop back over here to the footage, and you can see if I raise up the detail a whole bunch, basically what it's trying to do is find lines and edges and that sort of thing and increase the contrast a little more intelligently to try and bring out the detail. Now in this case, you can see it gives it kind of a weird effect, and that's because this is a relatively dark shot. There's not a lot of light, so there's quite a bit of noise, and the noise is kind of messing with the detail algorithm, I guess you could say, and it's kind of bringing out the noise too much, giving it kind of a weird effect. So we'll dial that back. So in this case, we can already see, even working with super high quality footage, Finisher isn't doing great because of the noise. So already it's not a perfect tool, but I think we knew that already. So now let's take a look at what the enhanced contrast does. So I want you to pay attention to the waveform here, specifically our white points and our black points as I bring up the enhanced contrast. So this is maximum enhanced contrast, minimum. And as you can see, if you look at the waveform, what this is doing is this is increasing the contrast in the midtones, but it's not changing our white point or our black point, at least not very much. See, with the traditional contrast tool, if we bring up the contrast, that changes our black and our white points as we change the contrast, which isn't necessarily desirable if you've already corrected an image, which is something I'll get to in a second. But if we bring up the enhanced contrast, this is a great way to increase the contrast, again, without altering the black or the white points, so you don't have to worry about clipping your highlights or crushing your blacks more than you might already have them. So now we kind of have an idea of how Finisher works. So how does it actually work on the footage it's designed to work on, that is compressed format? So if I switch over here, this is a 4K shot from my Lumix G7, compressed H.264, 8-bit, all that. And you can see if I just slap on Finisher, it doesn't really improve. I can up the detail, I can up the enhanced contrast, but it still looks kind of gross. But if we go in here with Colorista, just slap on Colorista before there. And if I go ahead and just correct the footage, I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so there's the corrections. I can disable that and enable that real quick. So now you can see if the color and the contrast are properly balanced. So now if we apply Finisher, I should probably dial that back a little bit. It's set on all the max settings right there. But if I dial that back, you can actually see that that's actually bringing out some detail. Her face is becoming a little brighter. Again, we've got that enhanced contrast. It's bringing out the contrast. We could even up the detail a little bit. And it's kind of, again, trying to bring out some of the detail in the image that might have been lost, but by using some intelligent processing, it can kind of try and bring that back out. And so you can see when we're starting with that properly corrected image, again, if I undo my corrections, you can see that this actually is pretty powerful when working with a corrected image, especially 4K compressed format that could use some extra processing. So then how does this fare with slightly lower quality footage? Well, here, after Premiere autosaves, I've got a clip of my face, as you can see. And if I slap Finisher on this, you can see that it is again doing the same thing it's been doing, bringing out the contrast without overall changing the white or black points, and bringing out a little more detail. And again, I can up the detail, and I mean, you don't need to see every pore on my face, so I might dial that back. But it's doing the same thing. It's helping to try and bring out some of the detail in the lower quality footage. That's really all it is, and it does work. It is improving the perceived quality of the footage, I think, is the best way to say it, but it is doing something helpful. So now let's go to our last footage, which is super low quality smartphone footage. And you can see if I go to this, if I bump up the scale, hold on just a second, alright, there we go. You didn't see those black bars. Anyway, you can see with this is incredibly soft. Like, the actual amount of detail in this image is probably below standard definition, even though there are 1920 by 1080 pixels there, whatever. So the first thing, I'm going to slap on Lumetri Color real quick, just to do a really fast color temperature balance. That looks good, -40. So just to show you what I did right there, is just making it a little more balanced. So now if we slap on Finisher, you can see that again we've upped the contrast a little bit, and you know, if I disable it, enable it, it looks a little better. But you know, if I was to, you know, pump up the detail, I mean, this looks really bad. This just looks like over stylized footage. It's still really soft, and sure, some of the lines are a little bit clearer. You can make stuff out better, but overall it's still an incredibly soft image. You know, I could bring up the enhanced contrast even more, and it's still, you know, I would say that this with Finisher, this is without, I would say with it does look better, but the end result, it's still an incredibly soft image. You're not really bringing out more detail in any way. You're just making some of the lines and some of the contrast a little bit easier to see, which it does improve the clarity of the image, but not by a lot. And if you put this image right here in front of me, I would say this is still incredibly soft, probably shot on a crappy smartphone camera, which it was. So that's what Finisher does, that's how it works. So I guess now it's conclusion time. Alright, so what's the conclusion? I think it's pretty clear that Finisher is a neat tool, but it isn't a magic wand to make your footage look like it came from a several $1,000 cinema camera. It doesn't replace proper color correction. It can't help bring out detail in overly soft images where there simply isn't any detail to bring out, but it can improve clarity as part of a larger color color correction chain, especially when working with higher quality starting images. If you mainly work with compressed formats from a DSLR, mirrorless camera, or camcorder, then Finisher may be worth picking up. Is it worth the entire Red Giant Universe subscription? Well, maybe not, but if you're already interested in a subscription, or you already have one, then Finisher is a great bonus plugin. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you liked this video, if it helped you, if it helped you learn more about how Finisher works, or helped you decide whether or not to get a Universe subscription, hit that like button. If not, feel free to hit that dislike button. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button.